So, the story begins with Earth, which is approximately 30 million years old, where instead of humans, we see monkeys. You all must have heard that monkeys evolved over time and eventually turned into humans. However, this is not accepted everywhere. Everyone has their own philosophy, so don't hate this human for that reason, and watch further to see how much fun it is. The storyline starts from a time when there was no trace of humans yet. Monkeys were still just monkeys. They hadn't evolved yet, but at that time, they were the first living force that existed before humans. Later, mammals and dinosaurs also began to appear, and this was the time when our protagonist was born among them. So, yes, brothers, meet our protagonist, who is a monkey. But don't underestimate him, as the twist in the story will be revealed later. I keep stopping you repeatedly because you must not skip even a single second and enjoy it. Our protagonist was much more talented compared to other monkeys. He had strength and acted like an animal, but he used his brain a bit more. However, the strange thing about him was that he loved hunting, even though he himself was a monkey. One day, bombing started, and asteroids began falling from the sky. In no time, all the animals started dying one by one. After a few days of bombing, all the animals died. But surprisingly, our monkey didn't die. This wasn't a miracle, but his hunting skills helped him survive. As the stages progressed, where monkeys gradually began to evolve, he survived through all of them and became stronger over time. While other monkeys died somewhere along the way during evolution, this guy never died. Slowly, his entire body began to transform because in such harsh times, his skills, primarily hunting, were the first reason he survived in this place. Second was his combat ability, as he could fight any animal. Third, he loved fighting, and the strangest thing was that he enjoyed fighting no matter how many scratches he got. He enjoyed those battles like a mad beast and became the strongest among all. Over time, 3 million years passed, and his body and muscles became so strong that no one could match him later. Others used various weapons that also evolved over time, but he defeated them all with just his pure muscles and strength. Eventually, he became a god. Yes, and in the ranking of gods and the divine realm, he was at the top. He is the Lord of Earth, whose name we come to know as Earth God Mu, who has been given complete authority over Earth. It is his responsibility to fix and run it. But sitting idle, he was getting very bored and said, "Oh man, I don't know how much time has passed. I'm so bored." Saying this, he lightly tapped the ground with his foot. That small step caused the entire planet of the god's sanctuary, the divine realm, to shake. But Mu isn't alone in the god's sanctuary. There are other divine creatures, including dreamlords, angels, and finally, our friend, who has been introduced in every manga, Lucifer. Lucifer is also present here. Lucifer is second in rank in the god's sanctuary and has been given the responsibility of the planet 𝗵𝗺. Here, people know him as 𝗵𝗺 god Lucifer, who holds the second rank. Lucifer was very angry with Mu's antics and said, "I don't know when we'll be rid of this foolish monkey. This has become his daily routine. He doesn't even realize how much trouble his small actions can cause others." When the scene returned to our Earth Lord Mu, he was bored because he hadn't gotten to fight for a long time. He said, "Why do I feel like there's no one left for me to fight? I've already fought all those who were once gods in their time, but now, what do I do? If there's no opponent left, what should I do here? There's no one left to match me in a one-on-one fight." As he spoke, we also learned that it had been 1,000 years since Earth Lord Mu last fought someone. The last time he fought was 1,000 years ago, and now he was facing a big problem, because he thought that after becoming strong, he would get strong opponents to fight with and enjoy it for his entire life. But now he had become so strong that no one could match him, and this was making him very bored. Bored? It had become a problem for him because he never thought that after becoming so strong, no one would fight him or even survive. So what could one do in such a situation? Like One Punch Man? Look at 𝗖𝗵𝗽 from the anime. He's incredibly strong, but he doesn't have the same power as Earth Lord Mu. Sitting idle, an idea came to his mind, which was a plan to go from strong to weak. Yes, You heard it right. In other mangas, our character wants to go from weak to strong, but here, after going from weak to strong, he now wants to go from strong to weak, just so he can fight again, because it's been 1,000 years, man. After planning this, he said to himself, "Oh man, I'm such a genius. Now I can only get a weak body on Earth, and the weakest are humans. So, if I go into a human's body, my entire problem will be solved, and I'll get to fight relentlessly. Fight! My fighting won't stop. I can fight every day. This is such a great plan." After planning, he called out to someone named 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁, shouting, "Hey, 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁, where are you?" A second after his voice was heard, we see a huge dragon, making it clear that 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁 is actually a dragon, also known as a divine creature and the strongest monster. 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁 landed, looking very badass, and landed right in front of Mu. As you know, in the God's Sanctuary, everyone has their own role. 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁 also has a role, and here people know him as the head secretary, with the nickname the Supreme God, meaning he is the head of the God's Sanctuary, the head secretary, whom everyone listens to. But for some reason, 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁 was very angry, and we could see flames blazing from his eyes. But as soon as he came in front of Mu, all his anger vanished, and he said, "Did I hear correctly? You called me 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁, right?" But without answering his question, Mu insisted on making a request and was about to leave. The task was to inform 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁 that until he returns, he is giving him full authority over this place, and it's now 𝗖𝗵𝗽's responsibility to take care of it. As his name suggests, head secretary, once the task is given, he must do it. Seeing this, 𝗖𝗵𝗽 immediately started his attack, which is a kind of binding. This is 𝗖𝗵𝗽's ability, called the binding of the absolute being. He opens a formation with his hands, and chains emerge from it, directly binding Mu. Mu, seeing this, couldn't understand why 𝗖𝗵𝗽 was doing this, but these chains were very tough. When the scene shifted to 𝗖𝗵𝗽, he looked very angry, but he wasn't angry because he was sweating, and he is the head here. But fighting with Mu, he knew he couldn't win, and there was a reason for binding him with chains, which he explained. Wait, where are you going? You haven't even told me anything, master. Think a little. You're my master. Without any explanation, you're leaving me here in the middle of everything. This is already giving me a headache. And fool, don't you remember there's a gathering of gods? All the gods will come together and discuss some things, and you don't even know where you're going, leaving me with all this authority. Do you know how much trouble I have to face? Forget it. Tell me, what plan are you making? But the chains couldn't stop Mu, and as he walked, he was dragging 𝗖𝗵𝗽 along with him. He said, "Just think of it as a part-time job. I've given you this part-time job from my side." In response, 𝗖𝗵𝗽, who had been holding on to him until now, started shouting, Hey, please, master, please stop. What will happen to me?" "What are you doing, man? Tell me, what am I supposed to do if you're leaving without any explanation? Think about it. If I take your place and the other gods ask me, what will I tell them? You don't even tell me anything these days. I don't even know when, where, or which direction to go. So, in the meeting, what face will I show? And all the frustration from your antics, they take it out on me. Have a little mercy, won't you? I'm not letting you go because you know they treat me like a thug. You never tell me anything before leaving, as if I'm the root of all this trouble. But actually, it's you, man. Sometimes I feel like, why was I even born for this? I feel worthless. Nothing happens because of me, and you don't even tell me before leaving. Tell me yourself. What should one do in this situation? And you are my master. You should tell me everything before leaving. But no, you're leaving me alone again and not telling me anything, as if everyone here considers me a boss, but they just give me work and leave. I'm not letting you go. But as I said earlier, the binding couldn't hold him. So eventually Mu broke free because he had already killed gods, brother. So a normal binding couldn't stop him. After breaking the binding, Mu became very angry and said in anger, Hey, you oversized lizard, I'll beat you up and ruin your face, then sell you to the Chinese. They've already eaten a lot of your species, so they'll taste you too. Speak up. Will you fight? Hearing this, 𝗖𝗵𝗽 was speechless, but he made one point clear. Master, if you don't know, they won't just eat my species, but will eat you too. They eat anything. You're a monkey. They'll eat you too, so take care, master. 𝗖𝗵 knew he could never argue with Mu, so he just made his point clear and closed the conversation, knowing that if he wanted to get anything out of Mu, he'd have to fight him. When the scene shifted to Mu, he said, "All right, I'm leaving now. Anyway, you don't have to fight." Both of them would never listen to each other, so it's better to leave without any nonsense. As he said this, and was about to touch Earth, which could be a type of pathway for him to go from here to there, he thought to himself, "Wait, I didn't think about whose body I'll possess. Now, this has become a big issue. Whose human body should I borrow? I can't figure it out. What should I do?" As he said this, he also touched the barrier, after which he heard various voices coming from Earth. Many humans were speaking in different languages, cursing each other behind their backs, talking about each other. All of this he could hear, which is normal these days. Amidst all that noise, he finally heard the voice of a man who was about to commit suicide. Before committing suicide, he shouted, "If there's really a god of this earth, then go to hell. I don't need you because you never helped me. I'm very angry with you. I had only one dream, to go to another world, but I could never fulfill it. I'm done. I have to die here. I can't live here anymore." Hearing this, Mu realized whose body he should possess, because until now, the only thing stopping him from fighting and becoming weak was deciding who to make his scapegoat. After taking that man's opinion, who himself wanted to die and he had confirmed it himself, Mu found it amusing and laughed like a madman, 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁, "Hey, I was looking for someone and here he is saying he wants to die. Otherwise, I'd have to kill someone. Good. If you yourself want me to choose you, then come on. To fulfill your wish, you'll have to give me your body. So take one hand and give the other. Mu's work will be done, and so will that man's, who wants to die." Saying and hearing this, he was laughing a lot, but perhaps he didn't realize that 𝗖𝗵 was still standing behind him. But 𝗖𝗵 didn't have the courage to ask Mu what he was laughing about and what his words meant. He was just quietly listening to Mu's words like a good pet, and crying because he couldn't understand anything from Mu. Then, Mu finally heard 𝗖𝗵's crying, and, hearing it, turned around and felt very bad. He thought to himself, "Should I give this lizard some explanation? At least if I'm leaving, an explanation is due." So, thankfully, 𝗖𝗵 was about to get answers to his questions, because even I thought this guy doesn't understand anything. He's just a fight addict. But yes, his heart is also soft, especially regarding 𝗖𝗵. And now, 𝗖𝗵 would get a small explanation before Mu left, because he wouldn't tell him much. He was leaving his body here with him, and 𝗖𝗵 had to take care of this body until he returned, as he had some important work to do. So, until then, he left his body and the entire God sanctuary in 𝗖𝗵's hands, and what he needed to hear, at least an explanation, he gave him, saying, "Do as I told you. Don't do any nonsense. Take care of my body, attend the meeting, and protect the divine realm. Understand? In a way, I've given you the authority over the entire divine realm, and no one will raise their voice against you, because if they do, they know very well who they'll have to deal with." Hearing this, 𝗖𝗵's legs trembled, and he started sweating profusely. Later, he nervously said to Mu, "Hey, master, you're making a mistake. Don't you know that taking a soul is not allowed unless a person dies on their own? Will you let a human die? And if you know, even if you somehow choose a human's body and transfer your soul into it, if the soul dies there in the human's body, do you know that you'll also die with it? And then, coming back here will be absolutely impossible. I'm telling you, think again about this situation because anything can happen. This is very dangerous work." In response, our Mu said, "Hey, why are you worrying about me? You probably haven't realized that you're worrying about Mu, who has never been defeated by anyone, and there's no problem for which he hasn't found a solution. This was my problem 1,000 years ago, and today I've solved it myself."